Welcome to part 3 of the Taxidermy Trophy Heads and Paper Mache series. In this part, I'm going to teach you how to build the form of your head. So I will just be using paper mache paste, which I make from a box mix. It is just art paste by Elmer's brand mixed with water. I follow the directions on the box and mix it up in a large plastic container, and I let it sit overnight and then divide it up into portions for students to use. So to build my head, I'm going to be using only newspaper and this paper mache art paste. Last time I worked on this, I added 2 layers of paper mache newspaper strips to my wall mount made of styrofoam and my neck, which is just half of a paper cup. So now I'm ready to build on the head. So to build using paper mache newspaper, you need to take a sheet of newspaper and cover it with a layer of paper mache paste. Now a small piece like this is going to make only a small ball, and that's not enough for a head of an animal this size. I mean, the head would be smaller than the neck, so that's not going to work. So I'm going to take a larger sheet of newspaper. I'm going to cover that sheet of newspaper with a layer of the paste, and then I will form it into a ball. That ball is going to be a better size to begin with for my animal head. So now that I have a beginning for my head, I need to attach that to the neck, and I'll do that using strips of newspaper that have been coated with a small layer of paper mache paste. I place the strips in different directions. You can see that I cover the entire area of that newspaper ball and connect it with strips all the way around to the neck. And now I can begin to build onto the head. I can add on a jaw, I could bring out a snout, I can add whatever kind of form that I want to make this animal my own. And in my case, I'm going to really build up that jaw area a bit. You can see in my sketch how the jaw needs to be wider and longer than the neck. So I'm going to add that form on. Each time I want to create form, I start with a sheet of newspaper, add the paste, and then scrunch it up. Then I attach the same way for each form. I take the newspaper strips and I run the strip down from the newly formed piece onto the base that has already been connected. As you work, continue to smooth down all the newspaper strips and mold the form. You'll find that the paper mache newspaper becomes kind of soft and a bit squishy, almost like clay. So you can press parts in where you want them to be smaller. When you create body parts that grow in pairs, you want to make both and make sure that they're of equal size before attaching them to your head. This is important for things like ears or horns. So right now I'm working on 2 ears. Once I make both ears and check that they're of equal size, I'd be ready to attach in the usual way using strips of paper mache newspaper. As I built up my animal head, I noticed that sometimes it would become a bit unbalanced and the whole head would just sort of sway in one direction, like it wanted to fall backwards or fall to the side. As you build, it may get unbalanced, but just keep in mind that as you add on more body parts, you can counterbalance and create a piece that can stand up well on its own. So while the ears started to pull the head backwards, when I added on a beak to the front and kind of tilted that downwards, that counterbalanced the ears and made it so that it could stay up nicely. One more thing to think about is that your project will be much less stable when it is wet. After it dries overnight, it will firm up dramatically. Use this to your advantage. When you're letting your piece dry overnight or between classes, you may be able to support it by placing a rolled up piece of newspaper or paper towel underneath an area to make sure that it doesn't fall down in a direction that you don't want it to go. Alright, so at this point you've watched me create a head, 2 ears, and a beak. Let's just do a quick review. To build on forms, take a large sheet of newspaper and place on a thin coat of paper mache paste on one side. Bunch the sheet of newspaper up into a ball and then you can form it into any form you wish. To secure it onto your base, use strips of newspaper coated in a thin coat of paper mache paste and apply those strips as if they were masking tape. You're going to apply them in different directions to really hold the form onto the base. After each class, no matter how far you've gotten, put your name on a name tag, paper mache that onto your project, and then clean up. When cleaning up, always wipe down your table with a dry paper towel. Do not add water. Put the lid on your paste and put your materials away as directed by your teacher. If you need any review, please see parts 1 and 2 of this video series, and part 4, which will be coming up shortly, will show you how to add on color using paper mache construction paper.